They're trying to divide these countries, number one. And the European allies, remember, the European allies just a few months ago were under siege by Donald Trump politically, with threats about Greenland and so forth. So they are very wary that of the United States as a credible actor in terms of regional stability. And regional stability is something they depend upon.
Right. So how much does the fact that there is no multinational naval coalition in place like Donald Trump wants, how much does that undercut the Trump administration's strategy right now with Iran and its credibility vis-a-vis its partners?
Well, I'm not sure there is a strategy. Yeah. But I think even if the European allies, our European allies, were willing to come to the Strait of Hormuz, this is moving very rapidly, fully. It's happening so the ability for them to move that kind of an armada, it took the United States weeks to get its armada in place. So I think in terms of the short term, it's basically, I think it's an indication that the United States, not desperate, because the United States will never appear to be desperate, but I think he's basically struggling with how to position himself vis-a-vis the Iranian strategy, which is to use the leverage it has vis-a-vis the Strait of Hormuz.
Abbas Aslani, this leverage that Iran has with the Strait of Hormuz, are they using it right now, with the Europeans in particular? I want to find out whether there is any talking between some European countries and Iran about allowing them access to the Strait of Hormuz, because as Ross said there, it appears that the strategy from Iran would be to divide some of these countries and to separate them from the United States.
Fully, Iran is saying that it has not closed the Strait of Hormuz, but it is controlling that waterway in a smart manner, which indicates that it is not allowing the United States and their allies or those who Tehran believes that are complicit to the aggression to pass through this waterway. And but when there is disruption, I think the ships and vessels do not feel, safe to pass through this strait, and this has had repercussions for the oil price, global energy market. As this war goes on, Tehran believes that the repercussions and the consequences would be much higher for the United States and their allies. And this is kind of, let's say, including others also to be affected by the repercussions of this ongoing conflict, to make them to push the United States to stop the aggression. But let's not forget, the rapid cessation of hostilities is not the thing that Iran has in mind, but Iran is seeking a kind of a strategic equation whereby it sees that its long-term security interests are achieved, meaning that it wants to prevent any future aggression against the country.
Let me ask you, Ross. Abbas said there that Iran is insisting right now that it's only controlling the Strait of Hormuz rather than formally closing it. Do you think that allows Iran to claim some sort of symbolic victory here, by continuing with this strategy, allows it to claim some sort of symbolic victory and therefore ease off? Or does Tehran have its hand ties now with this maximalist rhetoric?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I think it's a way for them to maintain some kind of support within the international system, China in particular. So I think it's picking those countries that are not part of the U.S. presence in the Middle East in order to peel off, make sure that those countries do not join, either in the United Nations, in the international organizations, or publicly, that they basically still stay behind Iran. Even if they're not backing Iran militarily, at least politically they back them. So it is a bit of a divisionist strategy, part of Iran.
Gentlemen, thank you both for now. Very good to get your thoughts on what we've heard from President Trump so far. Of course, we'll be going back to President Trump once he starts taking questions again from reporters there in Washington about the situation in the Middle East. In the meantime, let's move on. And this war has taken its toll on citizens across Iran. Small business owner Farhad Sharifi has seen his income severely affected. His family and many others in the Iranian capital, Tehran, have been forced to adapt to a new way of living.
Since the day the war started, our mall has been completely closed. When the mall is closed, it means the shops are closed. When the shops are closed, we can no longer go to work. And even if we want to go, it's of no benefit. No one comes for mobile phones in these conditions. We don't have an income for now. We are using our savings. And every morning when I wake up, I start playing games with my kids. Now, either we go to the parking area or stay at home. We play together until the end of the evening when we want to sleep. Sometimes we check the news to see what has happened.
We're not afraid because we've already experienced the 12-day war and the 8 years of the Iran-Iraq war. Life must go on. Whatever situation arises, we have to deal with it.
Whenever a strike happens, I tell my own child it's just thunder, but they understand that I'm not telling the truth. When I say it's thunder and the sound of the strike comes, they ask from the window, "Well, Dad, where's the rain? Why isn't it raining?" Their reaction is usually like this. But we don't want to give the child too much stress in these conditions, and we don't want the danger to leave a mark on their mind.
Personally, I would like a ceasefire, and it has always been my prayer that people reach peace, return to their homes and their own lives. And since the Iranian New Year is ahead of us, I truly hope it will not be a year of war, that it will be peaceful, and that people can return to the normal course of their lives.
All right, we want to show you some of the latest pictures that are coming to us from northern Israel, where a building has been hit by a missile. As you can see, a huge fire is now burning there. This is in northern Israel. Where exactly, we're not sure. Where, Naharia, okay, where the missile has come from, not clear yet, but this is, of course, where there have been confrontations between Israel and the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. We'll bring you more on this when we join our correspondent, Noor Ordeh, who's keeping an eye on the situation in Israel, in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has said that its ground operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon have begun. There's already been fierce fighting in the town of Khiam. Zena Khodr has more on this from Beirut.
Sounds of conflict. South Lebanon is a battleground. Israel's military is advancing.
The Israeli forces have begun a ground operation in Lebanon to eliminate threats and protect the residents of the Galilee and the north. The hundreds of thousands of Shiite residents of southern Lebanon who've been and are being evacuated from their homes will not return to their homes south of the Litani River until the security of the residents of the north is guaranteed.
Lebanon says Israel is trying to expand its occupation of territory. Hezbollah is pushing back with the heaviest fighting concentrated around Khiam, a town along the border. It's strategic high ground and on an important road junction, a gateway to advance to the Litani River, which at this corner is a few kilometers away. The river runs across southern Lebanon, and the Israeli military has treated it as a natural defensive line in previous conflicts with Hezbollah. And it believes controlling territory south of it makes it harder for the group to threaten Israel. They've ordered everyone south and north of the Litani to leave their homes. Those who stay are coming under Israeli fire, including paramedics. They too are being killed and their centers destroyed.
The Israeli occupation has unfortunately been claiming ambulances were being used for non-medical purposes. We affirm this is unjustified. These vehicles are transporting the wounded and the sick, and these nurses, doctors and paramedics aren't going in those vehicles with their own lives at risk. All international laws and the Geneva Conventions protect these vehicles, yet they are being targeted.
The war is in its third week, and there's no window for diplomacy to end the hostilities that have killed hundreds of people and displaced nearly 1 million.
Israel has rejected Lebanon's offer to hold direct talks, saying the government must first stop Hezbollah's attacks. But Lebanon is not speaking in one voice. Speaker of Parliament Nabi Berri, who, like Hezbollah, represents the Shia community, says there can't be negotiations while Israel's strikes continue. In other words, no negotiations under fire. In a country like Lebanon, which is divided along sectarian lines, when there is no internal consensus, there is the risk of strife.
Hezbollah remains defiant, launching rockets and drones into northern Israel. It says it is ready for a prolonged war, but it's not clear how long it can sustain this fight after losing its supply line from Iran. Israeli forces have not indicated how far they will try to advance. They once controlled a buffer zone up to the Litani River before withdrawing in 2000. But this latest battle is only beginning to take shape. Zana Khudr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Well, Beirut's southern suburbs have been under a blanket Israeli forced evacuation order for 10 days now. Hundreds of thousands of people have fled as Israeli airstrikes target buildings and infrastructure it says is used by Hezbollah. Al Jazeera was given permission to visit part of the area that's been destroyed. Here's Bernard Smith's report.
Lebanon's southern suburbs are some of the most densely populated places on earth, or they were. Some 500 to 600,000 people were living here when Israel issued its first unprecedented, all-encompassing evacuation order on March the 6th. That prompted panic, it prompted people to flee, and you can see why they fled from the targets that Israel has hit. Now, even if these were buildings that contained Hezbollah offices or operations, these were people's homes and they were their businesses. And hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced from here with no immediate prospect of coming back anytime soon.
I live in this neighborhood. I haven't left my home. Where am I supposed to go? I'd rather stay in my house and die with dignity. I'm not afraid of death. We will not bow to Israeli bombing.
I live in Ma'awad, which is in the southern suburbs of Beirut, but I'm currently displaced to the north of Beirut. I came today just to check on my house and my belongings. God willing, things will calm down.
Now this scene, these collapsed buildings, these bombed out, blown out windows, this is repeated across the southern suburbs, known collectively as the Dahia. It is known as a Hezbollah stronghold, and it's why Israel says it's targeted it. But the consequences of that for Lebanon, the Lebanese who live here, are long-term. Israel's campaign against Hezbollah seems...
All right, breaking into that report to take you back to the White House, where President Trump is now taking questions.
We'll give you a list. Some are very enthusiastic and some are less than enthusiastic, and I assume some will not do it. I think we have one or two that will not do it that we've been protecting for about 40 years at, tens of billions of dollars, Mr. Speaker. So I'll be reporting that to you in the House and the Senate, and I'll say, why are we protecting countries that don't protect us? And I've always felt that was a weakness of NATO. We were going to protect them, but I always said, when in need, they won't protect us. Now, this isn't need. Need would be one of the big boys. But I will say that we built the greatest military in the world, and we protect people. And if we need their mine boats, or if we need anything, any piece of apparatus that they may have because of a situation that they have, they should be jumping to help us, because we've helped them for years stay out of wars. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Can you tell us if you have spoken with French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Have you been speaking with the French President?
What does that mean?
Have you been speaking with the French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I have spoken to him. He's been, on a scale of 0 to 10, I'd say he's been an 8. Not perfect, but it's France. We don't expect perfect.
Are you confident that France will help with the reopening of Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think he's going to help. I mean, I'll let you know. I spoke to him yesterday. I don't do a hard sell on them, because my attitude is we don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react. Because I've been saying for years that if we ever did need them, they won't be there. Not all of them, but they won't be there. I was very surprised with the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom, 2 weeks ago, I said, why don't you send some ships over? And he really didn't want to do it. I said, you don't want to do it. We've been with you. You're our oldest ally. And we spend a lot of money on NATO and all of these things to protect you. I mean, we're protecting them. We're working with them on Ukraine. Ukraine's thousands of miles away, separated by a vast ocean. We don't have to do that, but we did it. Well, Biden did it. I mean, I have to be honest with you. Biden got taken to the cleaners. But we worked with them in Ukraine. We don't need to work with them in Ukraine. And then they tell us that we have a mine ship around, and they don't want to do it. I think it's terrible. No, I was very surprised. I told him, we requested 2 aircraft carriers, which they had, and he didn't really want to do it. And then right after the war essentially ended, meaning they were obliterated, he said, I would like to send the aircraft carriers. I said, I don't need them after the war has ended and won. I need it before the war. So I was very upset not upset, I was not happy with the UK. I think they'll be involved, yeah, maybe. But they should be involved enthusiastically. We've been protecting these countries for years with NATO, because NATO is us. You can ask Putin. Putin fears us. He has no fear of Europe whatsoever. He fears the United States of America and the military that was built by me in the first term. Yeah.
President Trump speaking there at the White House about the situation in the Middle East. We're going to take a short break on Al Jazeera. When we come back, we'll find out more about what he said and bring in our correspondent at the White House, Kimberly Halkett. Do stay with us on Al Jazeera.
As the war on Iran widens, its impact is spreading beyond the battlefield. Shockwaves are hitting global energy markets as facilities are damaged, supply routes disrupted, and risks to vital shipping lanes grow. Stay with Al Jazeera for